TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no rain with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, baby, higher.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time for the Breakfast Bankroll. An hour early today. Why not? With Andrew McInnis. That's right, Andrew McInnis. It's the start of the NHL hockey season. So who better to bring on than Mr. Puck himself, Andrew McInnis? Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download that app. It's free. I promise you, we'll take great care of you. Viva Tequila Seltzer, CT Bets. That team family second to none. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. Go try one. And Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Head on over to Facebook. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith. Introduce yourself to Atlanta Steak and Seafood website. Use the promo code STRIP this week, STRIP. Get $25 off any box of New York strip steaks. That's 10 ounce, 12 ounce, or 16 ounce. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Without further ado, the one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Isn't it Christmas Day for you?
It feels like it. It feels like Christmas, although I don't remember usually being this busy on Christmas, but it's an exciting time. And they say if you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work. And today I woke up so excited, Jeff. This does not feel like work. I'm in a great mood. And only 3 games, but they staggered them. And I'll tell you, if you were a season ticket holder or a fan, you might not like that. But as far as someone being at home watching, I'm looking forward to being able to have my eyes at least for a few minutes on all 3 games today.
4:37, 7:07, and 10:07. Oh, in between 2 MLB playoff games. Got a few days to relax from the NFL crazies. So how was the weekend, Andrew? I mean, this is a breakfast bankroll. We talk about last night. We talk about the weekend, and you and I do shows every week together. Riley is away for the week in Vegas. I am jealous as you know what. So we're going to bring you back tonight at 4 p.m. Eastern for some picks, props, and thoughts, obviously in the pucks and maybe some MLB. But how was your weekend?
It was a weekend full of bad beats, Jeff. And, you know, I'm not one to ever say it's a bad beat if it wasn't a bad beat. You know, I I had a team in CFL that covered the entire game. The quarterback threw a pick six. The next play fumbled for a scoop and score. It was a 14-point swing in about 1.5 minutes. You know, in the NFL, I had the Bengals. That didn't go very well. After they were pretty much winning all game long, that didn't turn out the way I would have liked it to. And then the Cleveland Browns. I think it's probably the last time they're going to get my money, Jeff, back in that team in the Cleveland Browns. NHL preseason, I had a winning preseason, so I decided to stay off it for the weekend. There were a few spots I liked, but with all the injuries that took place, Jeff, and that could be a topic for us to look at, with all the injuries that took place, I think a lot of these coaches, they were hesitant to put out their main rosters as they usually do in the last game of the preseason. They said, why would I risk another injury for my team? Why would I risk putting out another guy that someone's going to take a run at or do some type of dirty hit? So the good news about my weekend, Jeff, it was low volume. So it's nice to look at least when it wasn't a great one, for it to be low volume. The real stuff starts tonight. We're going to be in action in the NHL, and especially for tomorrow. And my $5 play at WagerTalk is actually on a game for tomorrow. So although it's $5 today only, that game is tomorrow. But I do have plays going tonight as well.
Well, I got to sound the horns for a second. Block your ears. We have breaking news.
Oh,
the New York Jets have fired Robert Saleh. So if you had
no
Robert
way.
Saleh as your first coach to be fired, go cash that ticket.
What was that paying, do you think? That was probably what? He wouldn't have been top 3, that's for sure, right?
I think the leader in the clubhouse was Peterson down in Jacksonville, and I'd have to go look at 2 and 3, but he was getting up there. And after, looking like champs a couple Thursdays ago against the Pats, who doesn't? You and I could score against them. And then losing in the 10-9 game at home to the Denver Broncos, getting out coached, of course, by Mr. Sean Payton there. And then a very lackluster, I think, performance in London against the undefeated Vikings. They had enough. And I think, this is just my take, I think Roger, you could see the friction between Rodgers and Saleh, and they decided we've seen enough of Saleh. And now maybe there'll be more breaking news later today as maybe they reunite Rodgers with Devontae Adams and they give this one big push.
Well, the question that I ask, Jeff, when coaches get fired across leagues is it a momentum thing or did he actually deserve it? And my question is, did Robert Saleh throw 3 interceptions last week? On the game-winning drive, or the game-tying drive it would have been, I believe, did Robert Saleh toss the ball away for the 3rd time in that game? Because it looks to me like it was the new quarterback coming off a season-ending injury. That's what it looks like. It looks to me like the guy that can barely plant his dominant back foot into the ground is struggling right now. In fact, if you're a prop bettor, that guy we're talking about is going under his passing yard prop every single week, and his coach just got fired. So maybe some decisions aren't there with the coaching staff. But I'll tell you what, I think that Rodgers, we all know how great he is, Jeff. There's no denying the accuracy, the ability, the deep shot that he has. But I said this to you a few weeks ago, and this is coming from a Packers fan that watched him for years. If a guy was wide open 15 yards ahead of him, and he had a 50-50 chance to get it to a guy 40 yards ahead of him, you know where he's going. And I don't think Rodgers ever makes the safe play, ever. And I think with this Jets team, they have so much talent on that team. I kind of think all they need is to make the safe play a little bit. They need someone that can throw a good ball, don't get me wrong, but they've just got so much talent on that team that it's honestly despicable that the Jets didn't win that game last week. I really do believe it is, Jeff.
Being a Packer fan, Rodgers, I dealt for 2 decades with Tom and Bill, and the Pats fans got spoiled. You start to get complacent. Tom took it to that next level. And I always bring up this, Andrew. We brought over Brandon Cooks. I love Brandon Cooks. I says, oh, what a signing. This is perfect. Well, Tom was at that point in his career when you tell Brandon Cooks to go to the mailbox, he'd underthrown. But that was Brandon's fault. If Brandon ran a 12 or 14 yard out to the sideline and Tom threw it at his feet, Brandon ran the wrong route. He didn't cut it off properly. So what did the Patriots do? They got rid of him after 1 year. Go back to that couple Thursdays ago where it was the rebirth of Rodgers. You could sit back against the Patriots and say, wow, where did this come from? And you're just smiling ear to ear. Fake handoff, rolling right, throwing, posing. The only thing we didn't get was a discount double check. That's all we didn't get that day, right? So now on the following Sunday, after 10 days off, by the way, it's cold, it's raw, it's rainy, and here comes Mr. Cranky Pants. Oh, looking at the wide receiver. Oh, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. And they shit themselves and they lose 10-9. Now you got to go to London against an undefeated team. Oh, by the way, the Sam Darnold revenge game. Okay. And you looked like ass. You looked like ass. So something had to go. And they just decided, hey, we need Rodgers more than we need Salah. And now, of course, this really, you watch social media on this one. Ready for this, Andrew? The return of Bill Belichick. How's that sound?
Wow. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. I don't know, Jeff. I think he's too worried about dating 19-year-old women for him right now, and I don't know what he's up to right now, and doing his Manning casts and dating at the local college. I don't know what Bill's got going on. I don't know if he wants to go back to coaching, but I'll tell you what, the pressure is now going to be on Rodgers. You take away one scapegoat, then there's no excuse not to have the others. A lot of people complain, bringing it back full circle to NHL. When a guy's on the third line and he's not scoring, or on the second line and he's not scoring, and a new coach comes in and puts that player on the first line, you've got no excuse anymore. You're playing with the best players on your team. Well, now, Rodgers, you have a new head coach coming in, and if he doesn't throw those interceptions, Jeff, maybe Salah gets fired in another week, but I don't think it's this week. Am I right about that? I don't think if they win, it's very rare you see a coach fired after a win. Sometimes I've seen it like returning home from a road trip. Despite what happened on that road trip, the coach is gone. But do you agree with me that if they win that game Sunday morning, Salah gets one more week, or was that premeditated?
No, he had to win that game, and the fact of the matter is, the season's on the line Monday night at home against Buffalo. Now, Buffalo, who started the year 3-0, has now lost 2 in a row. They got steamrolled by the Ravens, and then they lost a hard-fought game in Houston. Now, this is Buffalo's 3rd straight road game. So here's the season on the line. And again, the Jets made a corporate decision that we can win without Salah. We can't win without Rodgers here. So the fact of the matter is, very simply, is we have now 6 days to figure this thing out. I don't know who's the interim head coach or whatever, but you'll probably see that Rodgers that we saw a few Thursdays ago back on Monday, hitting Conklin, hitting Lazard. Oh, and by the way, why have the Jets sucked the last 2 weeks? Can someone tell me where Breece Hall has been? I mean, here's a guy that at the end of last year was the next coming to Gale Sayers, has a couple early good games this year, nowhere to be found in the last 2-3 games.
Well, and also, I mean, look, I'm all for the homecoming of the former teammates on a different team, Jeff, but is Lazard supposed to be his favorite target? Did they pick him up so he would get a 40% target share here? I'm not sure what it is, but to me, it seems like right now that's what I'm saying. Like the play calling, I'm not, just in general, the way that team was operating does not seem like it was smooth at all. It seems like it was all being forced a little bit too much. There were some drops, there were some plays that they would have liked to have back, but and then we got to say this too, Jeff. Of all weeks over the past 2 weeks for the defense to slide a little bit, that defense couldn't get a stop recently for them when they needed it the most. So it's definitely frustrating if you're a quarterback and you throw a pick and then your team can't get a stop, and then obviously he pays them back by throwing 2 more. But things aren't right there. And I think if we go back to the whole Salah thing, would he even still be there if this wasn't Rodgers? I think he hasn't really been a winning coach. He's been, let's be honest, he's been better than they were before. But what they were before wasn't very good either. If you have a handful of wins and then you bring a coach in and he gets you a little bit more than that, it's not enough at a certain point a little bit right now. It's kind of like Dan Campbell at one point for the Lions. Everybody said, you know what? It's not about just the motivational speeches. You're a good locker room coach. You got to win some games. And then they ended up making a big run last year and winning some games, and it all worked out. But at the end of the day, a new, fresh, exciting young face is only going to be good for so long.
Yeah, and family is like fish, Andrew. After 2 or 3 days, it begins to smell. And in this case, what have you done for me lately? Not just this year, the year before that. What else do you want? We bring you, you said it was a quarterback. We bring you in, supposedly a first ballot Hall of Famer. Oh, and he brings a few of his binkies, obviously Lazard. You have one of the top 3 ranked defenses. Oh, by the way, we brought Hassan Reddick over. Hasn't played a snap. I think he's lost like $10 million. So maybe that's part of the Devontae Adams trade. If they get Adams, obviously we'll take Adams and we'll ship you Reddick. Good luck trying to sign him. But this, this is, well, we will talk more about this at 4:00 as social media has a good spin here. I know we're up against another show here that you have. And so I want to break down some of the hockey titles. As you said, just 3 games. 437, St. Louis at Seattle. I had an overnight number of -130 with a 5.5 over 25 cents. Currently at the Circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson. Good morning, Mr. Stevens. Seattle, -148. You can get the Blues +135. The total, 5.5 over, still -25 cents. And as you know me, I got to give you this as well. St. Louis team total over 2.5, -125. And Seattle team total 3.5, just under, -150.
Well, as we always do, I think it's really important with this game compared to the 2 other games, Jeff, to tell people to shop around. First and foremost, if you want the money line on either team, you should be able to get the best price you possibly can. This is the game, I think, out of the 3 games where I have seen a couple different prices, nothing too crazy, but, a little bit of a different number at each spot. So it's important to shop around with this. Look, Seattle they're not coming into this as just being like, hey, we're the expansion team this year. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to kind of see what we can do here. I feel like they're a team that wants to be taken seriously. They pick up, they got Chandler Stevenson and Burakovsky on one line, Jaden Schwartz. They really want to see what Shane Wright can do. Obviously, the former, top round pick there a few years ago in the NHL. He spent a lot of time in the AHL. It's now time for him to make his mark in the NHL. He's playing with Bjorkstrand and Tolvainen. But the big story with that top line is Matty Beniers. He was a former standout with NCAA hockey. A little bit of a down year for him last year. After 2 years ago, he had a dominant rookie campaign. It's about putting up the goals and seeing if they can create that offense. For me, the biggest worry I have about the St. Louis Blues isn't actually as much about their defense, about their offense. It's about their defense. So this, to me, has the JD special all over it. If you like Seattle, you like that team total. The Blues should give up some goals here in this one, Jeff.
It's like we've been doing shows for years here, Andrew. Again, why would you run to the window and lay the 148 or we talk about over-unders and the team totals takes one of those variables out. Like last night, Royals and Yankees, we had the team total of the Royals over 3.5 at plus 110. They got to 4. Yankees got to 2. Andrew, answer this question. Did the game go over? Did that game go over?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
And it's a really important thing to mention, Jeff, because like you said, it's not like we're saying that the game is going to go over the total, right? We're not saying the game's going to go over. I think we could see an over or two on the board tonight, potentially. I like one in particular. But at the end of the day, we're saying that one team is going to go over their team total. And I feel like people hear that sometimes and they think, oh, well, I'll bet the full game over then. But I'll tell you just real quick, looking at the St. Louis lineup, they should be decent with Holloway and Robert Thomas and Jake Neighbors, but I just don't think that they have a top 6 or a top line, really. Their top line should be a second or third line on teams, but their defense is really, really weak. Like, when you go through their defense, they're dealing with injuries as well. But Nick Leddy and Colton Parayko are their top line. Then Philip Broberg and Justin Falk. I mean, it's bad. There's a few teams I could list out for you right now, including I'll throw out another team playing tomorrow, the Calgary Flames, where their defense just isn't solid. They don't have enough rock-solid stay-at-home defensemen. That's where it's going to hurt them the most, I think, is the St. Louis team defensively this year.
And I just want to close on this game and just explain one other point to the team total versus the money line. So the point here is this. If Seattle loses the game tonight and you played the money line, you're going to lose. I'm using the circa here as an example. You're going to lose minus 148 or almost a unit and a half. If Seattle loses the game and they get stuck on stupid at 3, we're getting it at plus 130. My point is you only lose 1 unit. You don't lose 1.5 units here, guys. So those half units add up every day, every week, and every month. So again, is what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn a minus 150 favorite and get to the window with 4 or better. And again, we will have our actual thought process at 4:00 today. So when we do the closing bell, but it's again, what we're trying to do here is to get you set up to potentially what we want to do later on when we get to the window. Correct, Andrew?
Absolutely, Jeff. And there'll be stuff to look at later on in the day. We're going to get some confirmation on the line pairings, which is going to be perfect for the segment we'll do later. We kind of have the idea based on the previous practice, that all these teams have had. But you do see the morning skate, and that's where the media journalists will tweet out what the lineups are. And people are curious, and it's helpful for player props. It's helpful for team chemistry. For that, I wanted to shout something out really quick. I thought it was pretty important. It's a trend for this year, and I'm not saying that I fully believe in this. I'm trying to find it here for you. It's talking about how strongly these teams have done home teams in their home opener. Let's see if I can find it. I might have to have it for you. I might have to have it for you in the next segment. But teams in their home opener, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that home teams have done very well to start off their NHL season. Teams playing their first game of the season at home. You might think sometimes it could be a fade, right? Like a distraction. They got the opening ceremony. I was a bit shocked to find out. And something else as well. Not saying I'm going to be on the side of it, though, but it's been a strong case to back the team that won the Stanley Cup the previous year in their banner night, which is actually a fade in the NBA, but it's a bet on spot in the NHL. I'm not so sure I agree with that one tonight, but pretty interesting stuff.
Speaking of that, 7:07 tonight, Boston at Florida, Stanley Cup champs, overnight number, Florida minus 145. Bruins plus 125. Again, a 5.5 over minus 115. Currently at the circa. 151 the Florida is. So a little money came in overnight on Florida. You can get the Bruins plus 138. Again, with a 5.5 straight now, minus 110 either which way. Bruins team total 2.5 over minus 115. And Florida, again, 3.5 under minus 155.
I wouldn't tell anyone to stay off the under in this game. I wouldn't be hesitant to see it go right back to the playoff style. We saw these teams play the past 2 seasons in the first round and the second round with what they're capable of with the defensive core, with the forwards all buying in defensively. Wouldn't shock me to see both teams jump back in to that style of hockey. And let's not forget, even though we see so many totals with 6 and 6.5 now, it's not easy to get to 6. It's not easy to get to 7. And when you've got teams that play the way these teams play, when they're up 3-1, Jeff, they love protecting that lead. It's like soccer. They go into soccer mode. You know, they stack the box, their back line, they got park the bus formation going, and they protect those leads. You know, a lot of these teams, like the Bruins and the Panthers, they're not really known for running up the score. They're more so for protecting the score that they have. So I wouldn't talk anybody off this number, albeit it is a 5.5 here in 2024, where we usually see mostly 6s and 6.5s in NHL betting. But I wouldn't talk anybody off the underdog side here, Jeff. And this is my free play of the day over at WagerTalk as well. And, you know, I like pulling a trigger on an early underdog to start the season off. And one of the main reasons is few forwards lost for the Florida Panthers. Also a key defenseman lost for the Florida Panthers. It happens every year. You win the Stanley Cup, you lose guys due to salary cap, due to them trying to go get paid. I'm not saying that they lost so many guys, they're not going to be right back up there at the top of their division again, because they will. It'll probably be them, the Maple Leafs, maybe the Lightning. Hey, the Bruins could be there as well. But I think the moves the Bruins made are a lot better than in the offseason the moves the Panthers made. Specifically, the Lindholm pickup for the Bruins. And you also look at the defensive core, the guys they picked up on defense. It's unbelievable. Charlie McAvoy is now the smallest and shortest defenseman on the Boston Bruins. That's pretty scary for a guy I think is like 6'2" on skates. So they're going to be an absolute the mean Bruins are back. I think the big bad Bruins, the blue line, they're back, Jeff.
I can't wait for that game, obviously. And last game on the ice, Chicago at Utah. No, this is hockey, guys. This is not the NBA here. Chicago at Utah. Utah minus 170 overnight with our first 6 over minus 20 cents. Currently, a little money came in on Bedard and the Blackhawks. Now minus 159 for Utah, plus 145 for the Blackhawks. Team totals here, Andrew. Chicago over 2.5, minus 130. Utah team total 3.5, juice under, minus 120. I know where I'll be going in this game, but what's your thoughts?
Look, this Blackhawks team should be more entertaining this year. They should have a little bit more to them this year. Jeff, they should be a little more of an exciting offensive team to watch with not just young Connor Bedard. If we think back to the start of last season when Taylor Hall was healthy, you know, this team was a little bit different. When you've got Connor Bedard playing with Taylor Hall and then Connor Bedard playing with guys that were drafted in the 6th round, a little bit different. You know, let's not forget how great Taylor Hall is. That season he had for the Boston Bruins, the season he had for the New Jersey Devils. He's a great player. He's back and healthy. Tyler Bertuzzi, not going to get the money he wanted from Toronto. No, not with their salary cap issues. He goes over to Chicago. A perfect fit, in my opinion, for a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi. So they made a lot of good changes. They pick up some great players on defense as well. But I think that they're going to be one of those teams that scores more this year, but their defense is a little bit shaky. Utah, I think, is going to be the team that takes the biggest step. They are not a joke anymore. Like, it's just, there's no nice way of putting it, Jeff. This team is not a joke anymore. They're not playing at a college campus. They're not struggling to find a new home. They're not looking for fans to come and watch them anymore. They've got a new facility. They've got a new arena. They have a new home, a new name. They just named a captain, Clayton Keller, for the first time in their new franchise history. They've got a tough bottom six, the guys that will fight, guys that are rough. They got a great top six with guys that are more than capable of putting the puck in the net. If you ask me tonight, Jeff, which game is going to be the highest scoring game on the board, I would tell you, no doubt about it, it's going to be that one.
Scroller's been going the whole time, Andrew. Everyone knows here where to find you, obviously, on Twitter at McInnis Picks, all your work on Wager Talk. But as we always end the segment with you here, tell them, A, where to find your work, and B, what you got over at Wager Talk.
I always appreciate a great way to start the day off. And as you can tell in my voice, I'm pumped. I'm excited. And that's why I got the water going first, and the caffeine will come a little bit later with all that. Can't get too much coffee going early on. I'll be too excited. $5 Tuesday, Jeff, today over at Wager Talk. Guys, does not mean that play is going on Tuesday always. I actually looked ahead to Wednesday's slate. Only 3 games on Tuesday's NHL board. I do like some stuff, as I just mentioned, but I really like one on Wednesday, which you guys can go grab for just $5. That goes back to $25 at midnight Pacific tonight, or I guess it'd be early tomorrow morning. So you guys can grab that, or you can grab every pick and every bet that I'm on today for $29 over at Wager Talk.
Andrew, we can't thank you so enough. What a way, again, to start our mornings here. It's Christmas Day for you in the NHL. Enjoy the rest of your morning and afternoon, and we'll catch you back here at 4 o'clock. How's that sound?
Look forward to it, Jeff. Thank you.
Take care. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. We're going to go to a couple quick commercial breaks, and then when we come back, I'm going to wrap up the show and give a little salute to someone that passed away today, someone dear to my heart, going way back to 1975, Reds and Red Sox. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. We'll be back at 4 o'clock today for the closing bell. Riley Magnuson in Vegas with the bride-to-be for the week, so he is off. We brought Scotty Webb in yesterday as they're getting prepared for Hurricane Milton. God bless Florida and everyone there. Stay safe, do the best you can, and tomorrow's going to be a tough day here. Rest in peace, Mr. Louis Tiant, Mr. El Tiante, passed away this morning at the age of 82. And for all the young people that don't know who he is, please Google Louis Tiant. For us people here would know here, I was introduced to the Red Sox in the early 70s, I should say. I'll be 58 in November. Okay. So I took to baseball right away, and Louis Tiant was one of my first all-time favorites with Carl Yastrzemski. My first wager I ever placed was in 5th grade, Red Sox Reds World Series. I was in 5th grade. I turned to a classmate and I said, "Who do you like in the World Series?" He said, "The Reds." I was like, "Oh shit, I'll take the Red Sox for 50 cents. Well, at least I got 7 games worth of action as we lose in 7. But El Tiante with the spin, go watch some YouTube tapes and Google. Real great guy, great character. I was driving along in Boston a couple times, and I saw him still in the city every once in a while. Tough day here here at ECSI. Rest in peace, El Tiante, at the age of 82. So everyone else here, go have a good morning. Take care of yourselves. People in Florida that can't get out, well, if there's any last minute stuff you can do, please do it. 4 o'clock Eastern, set the dial, turn on the notifications, head on over to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page at East Coast Sports Investors. Turn on the notifications, never miss a show. Shout out to Andrew McInnis for coming in this morning. I'll be back this afternoon as we watch the market move. That's what we do here, to see who's jumping in the NHL. 2 baseball games, 5:08, 9:08 start currently. Phillies minus 108 and the Mets minus 102 with a flat 7. Overnight numbers, Phillies minus 115 with a 7.5. So a little money has come in on the Mets, Manaea versus Nola, and the 7.5 has gone to a flat 7. And then in the nightcap, Bueller versus King, overnight number, San Diego minus 135, Dodgers plus 115. Currently, right now as we speak, Padres minus 154. And get the Dodgers plus 140, which is unheard of. 7.5 over minus 20 cents. Some team totals there. Currently, Manaea and the Mets 3.5, juice under minus 30 cents. Phillies 3.5 over minus 130 there. And at night, Dodgers 3.5, juice under minus 120, and the Padres 4.5 under minus 144. So that will do it for the morning here, guys. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. It's nice here on Cape Cod, Mass. Get out, enjoy the weather while you can, and we'll be back later this afternoon at 4 p.m. for the closing bell. Have a great day, people.